What is up guys, Morton here with a review for Rivals of Aether, a 2D fighting game developed by Dan Fornes and released on Steam on September 22nd, 2015 for $15. Now, before I go into anything at all, I want to get a couple things out of the way. For starters, this game is in early access and has already had a couple of patches for bug fixes as well as for balance in the 2 weeks since it first came out. Secondly, this is a fighting game along the lines of Super Smash Bros., not Street Fighter. You rack up percent damage by hitting your opponent, but in order to actually win, you have to knock your opponent off the stage into the blast zone just like in Smash. Since that's out of the way, let's talk about the game itself now. It's a whole lot of fun. There are currently only 6 characters, with 2 more on the way for release. That obviously isn't a lot, as most of the popular fighting games have at least 30, but the 6 characters currently available, and I can only assume the next 2, are incredibly in-depth, thought out, and interesting. The best part of the game by far is the amount of combos you can do with every character. The game is basically based on combos, and it feels absolutely amazing when you pull off a 6 or 7 hit combo that results in a kill. And on the flip side, it feels great when you break out of your opponent's combo with proper DI, or directional influence, which is a feature copied over from Smash that allows you to slightly alter your trajectory when you get hit. What amazes me the most though is the balance. There's a couple of matchups that seem like one character has a slight advantage, but it's very slight, and at the moment, every character has strengths and weaknesses that can be exploited both ways, and I've never felt I lost a match because something was overpowered. Now granted, there's only 6 characters at the moment, and balance can change really fast. It's entirely possible one of the future characters that gets released is completely broken, but I kinda doubt it given what I've seen thus far. Not everything can be flawless though, and the online play is sometimes a little questionable. I'd say probably 80% of my games are solid with a good connection and no lag, but the others are basically unplayable, which can be really annoying, especially if you get a few really laggy games in a row. Luckily though, games are best out of 3 and you can rematch the same person, so if you get an opponent with no lag in close games, you can just keep playing each other if you want to. Another slight issue is that there's no native support for Gamecube controllers. Now I realize this is kind of weird because no games on Steam have native support for Gamecube controllers, but the difference is this game is so close to Smash Bros. That it feels super comfortable playing with a Gamecube controller, and most people seem to be playing that way, myself included. It's not super hard to work around it with some third-party software, but it's still a slight annoyance and takes a little while to fix it. From what I've heard though, other controllers, PlayStation 3 and 4 as well as Xbox, work fine. Currently you can only play one-on-one online, which is kind of a shame as it means you can't do 2v2 teams or any type of free-for-all. You can play with multiple people locally though, and they've said they want to allow more players to play online in the future, so hopefully that comes, but just know for now it's only 1v1. The game has a really cool art style as well. All the moves in the game are easy to distinguish from each other, which is super important in a game like this since knowing what move hits you will affect the way you need to DI. The stages all look unique and fit the elements that inspired them well, and since there are so few stages it's really important that they're nice looking, so they did a good job there. In the audio, oh my god the music. Sometimes I just leave the game running while I tab out to do other things, just to listen to the soundtrack. Everything about the sound in this game is phenomenal. From the music which I mentioned, to the sound effects of characters getting hit, everything is great. The sound for knowing you got a strong knockback is super satisfying. There's nothing about the audio I dislike at this point. Overall, for an early access game, it's truly amazing. It's gotten to the point where very often an early access is basically just a beta you have to pay for, but in this case it's a really well put together game, even if it has the occasional bug. And there's so much more coming to look forward to as well. For starters, there's going to be a ranked online mode which I think will be fantastic, because right now sometimes you play against people significantly better or worse than you and the matches can be pretty one-sided. There's also going to be a single player story mode, which I imagine will be like Mortal Kombat where it's just a series of fights with some backstory on the characters in the game. To be honest though, the AI in this game is pretty bad, so I can't imagine it being very difficult to get through the single player, but it might be a good learning experience for people new to the genre, and if you're experienced and just want character backstory, it probably won't take very long to blow through the AI opponents. On top of that, there's something called Abyss mode, though not much is known about it. From what I've heard and from the name though, I believe it's some kind of endless mode where you and possibly other people just fight an endless wave of opponents to try and get the high score, which should be pretty interesting, especially if they ever improve the AI. If you're a fan of the Smash series, or fighting games in general, this is definitely worth checking out. It's set to fully release in 2016, but I already have well over 30 hours of playtime so far in early access, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. The community is already setting up online tournaments every week, so there's already a competitive scene developing, and it's a ton of fun to just hop on and play a few rounds. Or a lot of rounds.